you.
Call the public committee meeting Wednesday, July 23rd, 2025 to order.
Councilman Haddock.
Present.
Councilman Bound.
Present.
Councilman Dennett.
Present.
Councilwoman Faison.
Present.
Councilman Ogle.
Present.
Mayor Pelot.
Present. Would you please silence your phone? Stand for the Pledge of Allegiance by Councilman Haddock.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would, before we get into the meeting or to the public comment period, or I guess at the beginning of the public comment period, it would be appropriate for us all to recognize and pray for the Bounds family. Tim's dad passed away Sunday morning, and certainly our prayers and our thoughts are with your family, and certainly it's with sympathy, but also with recognition that he had a wonderful life, and he was with us for a long time. You bet. This public comment period, members of the audience have 3 minutes to make a statement or concern, express a concern to the council. Is anyone here to speak? Please state your name and address.
Good afternoon, Gary Thickfin, 825 Old Ponchatoula Highway. Well, 827. My concern is the pedestal rentals. I got online with the process, but I never got a confirmation. So I called town hall, spoke with, I don't remember her name, don't know if she gave me her name, and so she was gonna book it then. Well, in the process, she says, well, I asked if she could send me an email stating that I had that pedestal for that date. She said she didn't have a means of doing that. I said, well, the main reason I called, I just wanted to make sure it did go through because I got no confirmation from the site. So she took all the information and proceeded to tell me that she couldn't guarantee me the spot, that things happen. I said, well, what things could happen? She said, she put me on hold. She comes back to the phone and says, oh, you can't rent it no later than 15 days out. I said, okay, well, meantime, I got an email from the town giving me my slip number, everything that it was paid. Kimberly, I think, went up, and they had no record of either one of us having pedestal 3 or 4 paid for.
Yeah, so I called Lewis and said, is there a rule that you can't do 15 days out? And he said, no, there's no rule. So I met Kyle up there, and Kyle was there, and the lady had no, our concern was like, you know, someone rented it for us, and there's 3 of us get there, and everybody has a rental, because on their screen, they didn't even have us as a rental. I had to email it to the town clerk and say, yeah, this is where we had rented out. Our just concern is we don't want to get up there on that day, and everybody's like, no, I rented this, and I rented this, and, you know, whatever.
Right,
and
obviously, whoever's in the office doesn't have a clue what she's doing. I mean, maybe she wasn't trained. She doesn't know it wasn't her job. Maybe she was filling in for the day. I don't know. She didn't even ask what pedestal I wanted. So I told her, I said, well, don't I need to give you a pedestal number? Oh, well, that'd be a good idea. But then she tells me I can't book it anyway. I can't reserve it. And like I say, meanwhile, I got the email stating I have it for that day and those hours and those times. So my concern is, when I get there, who else has booked it? Do we have any means, balances and checks to see if it's been leased or not? And what size boat?
Has that?
Yeah.
But my question is, what have we got to keep it from happening?
But I mean, no one else.
The
has
little girl
looked
answering
into
the
it?
phone,
But you understand what we're saying? The town didn't even have anything that we had even rented it, so I'm like, did
so if somebody
else
comes
rent
in tomorrow and says, I want number 3 for that date, they're gonna rent it to them. And that's gonna be a problem. And so then I asked, I said, well, what if I get there and there's a boat there? What do I do? She says, call the police. Now, is there anything you can legally do?
Yes, yes, if it's rented to you, certainly we can have the boat
Okay,
moved.
so if there's a boat there, you can legally force them to move it.
It's attached to our wall.
Okay.
And it has been resolved as far as they're on the book for that. And it,
For 3 and 4,
Right.
correct?
Right.
72
But that's
hours.
because they
Okay.
came to you to make sure it was handled.
Well, I just called him, yeah, because like Gary said, he called and then she said, no, you can't rent for 15 days. Well, I went ahead and rented, because our friends come, so I rented pedestal number 3. And I called Lou, said, no, there was no rule, and about 3 hours later, I get an email. Gary never got an email.
Yeah, I've only got
And
one.
finally got one that's some fish, and then so I came up here, I said, to pay my utilities, I said, hey, I called Kyle, I said, I'm on my way up there, so I'm here. And the lady says, I have nothing on my screen that y'all rented. So she said, can you
Yeah.
email it to me? So I emailed it to her,
And
and she's like, our just concern is we don't want to go up there and it be a,
yeah. Had it not shown up when they called yet?
no.
And, no, what I'm saying, we didn't have it from the credit card company. Is it?
It takes a day or two for
Well,
us.
this was 2 weeks.
Yes.
It takes a couple of days for us to even get a receipt of that payment from the
Okay.
credit card company.
That's.
Y'all
that's
don't get
what
any email confirmation from the, okay, so, we're in flux right now. This is a temporary solution, and I want to make sure, I'm going to make sure that we come by and talk to the ladies that are managing this before all of this is completed, before we make these changes. Chris is in the process of custom coding something that's automated, so there won't need to be humans involved, but there should still be some form of email confirmation emailed to the customer as well as to the office every time that someone purchases it. And obviously, like, at the end of the day, you should get like a closing total, right? So you can balance your books, but that would be from the credit card processor, not from the website. So
But currently,
We-
while we are doing the system we're doing, we need to set up, whether it's a spreadsheet or whatever.
We have that.
Okay.
We do. That's what I was about to say. We have a booking now, now that we have you down for that date in advance with that pedestal. So just like a rental at the community center, there's a rental on the wall. So we do have that. It's just that when Kyle brought that to my attention, I don't think we had received from the credit card company anything that you had paid at the
But at
time.
the meantime, I could have went and still, y'all didn't get it.
Well-
I could have booked his pedestal because there was nowhere on the books.
Yeah,
Right, it was 2 weeks later from the time we actually booked it to the time she physically called with Kyle and
2 weeks.
up here right at 2 weeks, week and a half to 2 weeks.
Is it
Right
that
at it.
long before we receive anything?
I
Should
mean,
it be?
it's
No.
Madisonville website, you go on, you fill everything out, I mean, it should send someone an email that's in charge of taking care of that, so they know. Because very easily in that week to a week
Someone
and a
else,
half,
yeah.
5 people could have rented that same one.
That's true.
So,
That's true.
and the biggest thing is just to keep any issues down when I
Yeah.
get there. And
Yeah.
when this all first started, that was my first question to you, was how you gonna police this?
it also looks like, I just pulled it up,
Obviously,
it
we didn't
doesn't
think
look
it
like
through.
there's a place to put dates on here. It's just to rent it, right?
Like,
But hours.
date,
Put stuff.
hours,
You can put
time you want it turned off, time you want it turned off, how many hours you want it for.
Yeah,
But
Okay,
it doesn't
so
have
I
how
would need
many
to go
foot, the bo-
further
how many
through.
feet the boat is.
There's a date that you start.
Yeah, if you put in,
a start date, if you.
if you put in the
something-
pedestal number and then say you need utilities, then you get the other questions for a specific
It
time.
shows the length of the boat, so 40-foot boat could come park there and then you're like,
Okay, if you select, okay. So you have to select that you need utilities, okay. So,
The question is, if you try to book their spot at that date, will allow you?
right, so I don't know if either one of you know this.
Yes, you could.
Well, so, right, so there's no calendar that's kept in this system, right? Like, if anybody can book it at any time. Okay, so you guys would get it and then have to call someone and be like, hey, look, it's already booked. It's a very manual process, am I correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Mayor, can you also please tell me that my own bid over put a sign on the sign itself next to the festival center?
Well, we do prior to that date. We don't do it 2 weeks in advance.
Right.
But we do prior to that date.
Not the length, though.
What about what?
They don't ask you the length of the boat, so whenever you get parked there and somebody's got their 40-foot boat there. and
Yeah,
they're
if you've
trying to-
got-
It doesn't ask you what length boat are you having there.
If you've got two 40-foot boats, rent 3 and 4 pedestal,
Yeah.
how are they gonna get to it?
Now, look, ultimately, when the final solution is done, reservations are going away. It's not a realistic way for us to manage the riverfront. The complexity of it would be a lot. So, we would need a harbor master. So
First come, first serve.
it will be
basis.
first come, first serve. So this situation would work. You pull up, you pay, and then you leave when you're finished. And it's visible because your boat is there, right? That's the best solution for the setup that we have. Otherwise, we would need to have.
I'm just saying, if we get there on Friday morning,
Right.
we at the festival and there's a 40-foot boat there, I mean, I'm not to go tell him
Right.
he's gotta move.
Right, I understand. And I want to make sure everybody up here is under the same impression. I don't want us to move forward with custom coding this situation without everybody understanding and being in agreement that it will have to be a first come, first serve
That's
scenario.
fine with me.
Okay, I don't want anybody to be
That's the way it's
surprised by
been.
that
That's
information.
the way it has been prior to
Okay.
it now.
Okay,
Is it possible we can put a manual board up, something like this with the pedestal and the pedestal numbers?
for now, like
Yeah, to work for right now, and simply put the date.
on the
and that
website,
way- No, in the office. That way, when they receive payment,
they have
do we
one.
have something like that right now?
They do, yeah, I've seen their whiteboard in there. I don't know how far you guys go out, but there is a calendar in there that I've seen.
But if you pull up on Saturday or Sunday or after hours, you
Right.
can't get power turned on.
Correct.
I thought the thing was all set up with automation to where you could turn it on from whomever's in
That
charge
was
of
the
it from their
intent-
cell phone.
That was the intention from day one, Gary.
that's what
The
you-
engineers didn't
yeah.
come through with that.
Oh, it was on the drawings I
That's
saw
what-
and
so now
on
we're
the,
trying to fix that now.
yeah, there was a lot of that on the drawings I saw and the bid package. It was in the bid package, so they bid on it, they put it in there. Somebody needs to be getting some money out of it.
No.
But,
no, it
I mean, that's
wasn't.
another story.
Well, that,
Saying no, it wasn't, you read it.
It wasn't in the bid package. No,
Maybe I
we-
saw a different one.
Yeah, you could have, because the original, we wanted that, but we couldn't afford it. So it was bid without that.
$100,000 for some receptacles.
As long as we have a spot, I just don't wanna have any, chaos come that day. I just wanna go and have a good time and go home.
So just a quick question.
Yes.
The water is turned on all the time, right? If I want to pull my boat up and I need water, not electricity, I can just come to any pedestal there. I don't pay anything, right? The
That's
only
my
thing I'm
understanding.
paying for is power.
That's my understanding.
All right. So what happens when Gary rents it, let's say for the whole weekend, and then wants to go down the river, and then he comes back and somebody's in his spot because he left for
well, the
a few
reserve,
minutes?
reserve sign will still be there.
Yeah, reserve sign will still be there, and you can call the police and they'll come after and move.
And so I've seen some big boats down there. I mean, 40 feet is not totally out of the ordinary,
No,
even
it's
longer
not.
sometimes. Do we have any signage on the river that, indicates that, hey, these spots some of these are paid for? Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen them.
You know what you just said, we have reserve signs that go up the day of?
Yeah, prior to that,
Okay.
yeah.
So then if he's got it rented for, let's say 12 hours, he can come and go as he pleases. There's a sign there that says reserve.
And it's got his name and his boat and
Obviously, if
everything.
he pulls up and someone's in his spot, then he just makes a phone call, right?
No, they didn't ask us the boat, just the name, like Sea Ray, that's all we put, but they didn't ask how big it was or long. That's what we're worried about, seeing us like pulling up, even though we have this reserve, if we got a 40-foot boat, it's gonna take up, all those spaces.
Okay, actually, I asked Kyle to come, and, that's why I was gonna put you at the beginning. Certainly, you can give a report, both, and this, I asked him to come to speak about, just to clear, because it's not on the agenda, the water and the power outage, from last week. I asked him to speak about it so that in case it came up tonight, it could be discussed. We could ask the questions that possibly need to be asked, and also you can make an announcement about the gas outage.
Yeah, we had
today.
a gas line hit about 3 o'clock today on Brewster and 1077. And it's the line that feeds Brewster Road east of 1077. So when we turned it off, we lost Nottaway subdivision, Heritage Oaks, everybody who lives on Brewster, Fair Oaks. Company just pulled up right before I got here to start making a repair. If they get it done in a reasonable hour, we're going to start turning on and lighting everybody's pilots and all that stuff. I got the town of Abita coming to help us whenever we get a little closer. That way we have about 8 guys knocking on doors and lighting out water heaters and all that kind of stuff.
How many residences is it?
I don't really know. I'm 50 to 75, probably, something like that. So when they call me, when they get it done, I'm jet out of here and start taking care of that. The water last, I think what day was that? Wednesday morning, around midnight. The power went off. The backup generator came on like it was supposed to. But the first pump cycle time on generator power didn't call for the pumps to run. It missed a cycle, drained the water out the tank. It's continually feeding air, but no water. The next pump cycle, the pumps kicked on, supplied the water back to the town, but with a slug of air mixed in there. So that's why I'm sure y'all had air. Different people down the line all had air in the lines. Stirred the system up. Some people had some nasty stuff. Some people had just some light colored brown water. I had our sewer and water electrician come out following morning. Once we got it all back straight, we were able to mimic. We made it happen again. We were able to turn the power off, let the generator come on, and it did the same exact thing 2 out of 4 times. So then we called Pan American Power, who is our generator rep and does all the maintenance on the generators. Next Tuesday, we're going to try a reverse situation to where we're going to try to run it off the generator, kill it, but don't let the power come on just yet. Wait 10 seconds, turn the power on, and see if it glitches on Clico power that first time, or if it's just something to do with the generator. If it glitches like that, we're confusing the pump switches. We know it's a control issue. If it doesn't glitch, we know it's something to do with getting dirty generator power or something like that. But we tested the power, everything looked clean, but until we rule that out, we don't really know, can't explain what happened. So that's where we are on that.
And as far as the unidirectional flushing, is that all set up for?
Yes, August 4th, we're going to do our second unidirectional flush. PEC's coming, Owen and White is coming, and we're going to do the section that we did last, do it again. And we're going to also do the iron and manganese samples also that day to see if they go up in the amount of time that the pumps are running.
What did Owen and White or anyone say about doing the unidirectional more often? We had talked about it in conjecture.
She's a big proponent of flushing. It's just how much do we want to, if we do it every other month, we're probably going to be in a boil of water every other month. But do we have to do that 6 times to do it? We don't know. We'll see this time. We'll compare our notes to the last time to see if the amount of time, like between how many times we had to run the hydrant to get our clear sample, and compare it to the last time to see if it went down, up.
So if doing it monthly would be pretty ridiculous because of the boil water advisory, but
2 days out of every month. Because it takes a day when I do it, and then I got to wait the whole. That's if I can get it in with a certain time, so it could be up to 3 days.
But is she a proponent that it would flush everything out if we did it more often?
Possibly.
I'm sure you thought about this because your wife works at the school, but,
That's why we're doing it.
okay, I didn't know if they were gonna be
Well,
up there.
the teachers will be there, but they don't serve them lunch and.
No, but they don't wanna use the
When's-
water fountains,
When
right?
the kids go Wednesday.
So Thursday, I think is
Thursday
the
and
first
Friday.
safe start, or no, maybe Wednesday is,
I think it's Wednesday.
it's Wednesday and
But we'll be
Thursday.
good. We'll be good by then.
Right, but those teachers wanna know they don't wanna use,
Yeah, I
not
mean,
that
no,
they
we'll
use
put
the
out
water fountain,
we'll
but,
put messages out and all that.
okay.
What happened with the flow test at the well?
We're gonna do that on the 4th.
Keith and the mayor and I and Kyle met with Owen and White, and just a couple of questions here, Kyle, related to what you said. We know the power is going to go out again. Is there the possibility of having an automated valve that when that happens, we can switch to the Pine Street well the way we have done before?
We shouldn't have to. If we can fix this issue, we shouldn't have to. So right now, I know in the meantime, if I've got an alert system down there now. If I get an AC power off, I'm sending somebody down here. I'm not going to rely on the trust that my generator's going to work. Because the generator worked last time, there was a flaw in I'm thinking controls, but we're going to find that out.
All right, well,
So
if we still have trouble with it, I'm just throwing out the possibility that we have a valve, but it's a manual valve.
correct.
Is there even the possibility of having an automatic
I'm
valve?
sure.
that would send-
I'm sure there is. I'm sure
Let
something.
me ask you, is it manual or is it an automatic valve? And that's gonna turn the generator on when we lose power.
No, that's all electrical.
But, yeah.
He's talking about
So-
the valve by your house. Let's just say
Oh, to change the valve from one
I
system
could-
to the other.
either we lose power and it does it, or I could go on my phone and click open the valve. And Gary, I know they have those all over the place. Automated valves. You can throw them in anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, as long as you got a control. So that's
So-
definitely a 6-inch.
All right, so there was in our meeting, there's a little bit of discussion about the flushing, and somebody threw out the question, are we making things worse by stirring up what's in the pipes? But David with Owen and White had looked at, the amount of manganese that's testing at the Old Ponchatoula well, and he determined that 14 pounds of manganese is going into the system every day.
Correct.
So one of the questions I have is, when we do this flushing, are we measuring in some capacity how much we're taking out of the system, taking some samples so that he could calculate, we took out 14 pounds times a number of days, 60 days in between, to evaluate the flushing itself?
So he was basing that going in by like 100,000 gallons a day. So he should be able to figure by the amount of water we're flowing a minute. Let's say we're flowing 500 gallons a minute for 12 minutes. He should be able to, I'm assuming he can take that number, and that would be the pounds of we're removing.
Well,
I can ask her when she.
I'm talking more about taking a sample of what's coming out during the flushing, and him using that to say, hey, we've pulled out this many pounds of manganese out of the system with this flushing, just so that we can evaluate what we're taking out when we do the flushing. And then also, when we do the flushing, we're taking chlorinated water and dumping it where? right into the ground. All right, are we measuring that as well? How much chlorinated water we're
It's this, I don't turn it up or down when we flush, so it's injecting the same amount that if it was a normal flow, so.
Yeah, I'm just talking about the environmental impact of taking a large sum of chlorinated water and just flushing it into the street, which goes into the bayou, which goes into the river. Is there any impact from that, or what is it?
No idea. I know we can't turn it down due to the levels you have to keep.
Well, we didn't discuss that last week, but that's be another question if they're coming out that maybe you could ask him about and see if he has an opinion on the volume that we're putting in of chlorinated water in the environment.
When they're both companies are here for the flush, it could be questions that, can they measure the amount that we're taking out?
I don't know if they'll be able to measure the amount, but I'm sure they can measure and get some levels. But the amount, you might have to try to catch water. I don't know if that could be done, but I know we could probably get some levels for sure. And you can definitely see when you open one up and you start, the levels I know are going to be higher because we get to you can see the difference with your eyes. So.
I haven't seen any fish kills in the river or algae blooms, so I think it's minimal probably. But David also stated with that high flow test, he doesn't think there'll be any change on the levels of manganese and iron, depending on whether it's fast flush or regular flush.
Yeah, due to the flow well pressure or something he was stating, yeah.
Forgive this question if it's silly, but are we removing chlorine from, like, when we do our wastewater treatment?
Yes.
We do remove
But-
chlorine.
We're actually treating it again with chlorine, and we're removing that chlorine. Chlorine kind of
Dissipates.
dissipates after so long.
So by the time it
So
reaches
that's
the treatment
why-
plant, it's really not there anymore.
Right, like, for instance, we flushed the village of Bocage today just because my chlorine levels were lower on dead end and cul-de-sacs in there, so we had to flush to kind of, this time of year when it's really something to do when it's hot and dry, the chlorine dissipates faster.
Right, it's
So-
heat, sun, yeah. Okay, thank you.
But I wanted to mention to everybody on the council a couple of other items we discussed during the meeting with Owen and White. But I don't want to hold up Kyle being here if he's got other
No.
things to do.
I'm good,
please.
I'm good. When they call me, I'll let y'all know.
All right. So, in addition to him saying, hey, you got 14 pounds of manganese going into your system every day from the old Ponchatoula well, probably the most surprising thing to me that he said was, we've discussed this at length, that the pipes are probably close to the end of their useful life. But he said the wells are also, because of their age, are close to the end of their useful life. And that's a scary proposition to think that a well could go down. I asked him, hey, look, if money were not an object, and the truth is, I really don't think it is. I think it's just where we decide to spend it. What would be the fix for this? And he said that he feels like he's confident that if we drilled very close to the Pine Street well, we'd get clean water there. And I won't say just clean, we'd get water without the iron and manganese in it. And with a bigger well with greater volume and a water tower, that could supply the town with water, and that the old Pine Street well, and maybe even the old Ponchatoula well, would be backups for the system. We talked about cost of what that would be. We know we have about, they did a model of the whole water system and determined close to 30,000 feet of water lines, and which at $200 a foot is $6 million. The water tower and the well, about $3 million each, although that depends on where we would put the water tower. And their feeling is that it should be somewhere in the center of town. In other words, not at the end of Pine Street by your house, Brad, more like close to where Tim is at the sewer area, which means we'd have to have a water feed that ran all the way from the well to that water tower there. So, you know, that's, to me, as I look at this and I look at, what the town spends money on, just has to be a priority. And I think what we experienced last week will pale in comparison if we start to have pipe failures, or if we get a well failure will be even worse. We really need to have a plan that's probably going to be a multi-year plan. Hopefully will involve some additional money, but from the state or the federal government. One of the things that Bea had mentioned, and I don't know if she followed up with you, Gene, on this, but she mentioned a program where we could borrow the money to do the work, and that loan would be forgiven after time. And she was going to look into that. Did you hear back from her on that or no?
No, I
Okay, all right. So that was one possibility, and somewhere between 50 and 100% of the money the loan would actually be forgiven, which, if that was available to us, would allow us to do the work faster. And before we even borrow the money, we know how much is going to be forgiven right up front, and when it would be forgiven, presumably. So, I mean, that to me, that was a good possibility. Beyond that, it's a big undertaking. It's a lot of money. He said, the pipes that we have are mostly asbestos cement. David said that at times there are grant opportunities to get rid of those pipes because the government will come in and say, hey, we don't want the asbestos in the environment. But he also said that those pipes are more likely to grab the manganese when it comes through. You heard that, Keith? Okay. Compared to, some replacement pipe that we have.
Yeah, but let me add something to it. He also said with the new iron pipe, if it has the porous cavity on the inside liner, it would grab it as much as the old pipe. And he also said the iron pipes we have approximately 50 years left, and the AC pipe 10 to 20 years left on the lifespan, in his opinion.
Yeah. So with 30,000 feet of pipe, and most of it AC pipe, if we said, hey, look, we're going to replace 2,000 feet a year, it would take us 15 years to replace it all. And we're not what would we replace that with, Kyle?
Polyethylene pipe.
And what's the lifespan of that pipe?
I don't know, probably 50 years, probably.
I think it's 50 years.
It's more than PVC, but I'm not sure.
All right, well, I think it's becoming more clear what we have to do, a little less clear of how we're going to fund it. But again, I go back to this idea of replacing these first 2,000 feet. It would answer a lot of questions, and we might get into the pipes and say, hey, look, these pipes are really good. They have another 20 years in them. But we may get into the pipes, and they look at them and say, you have only about 5 years left in this, or there's something else wrong that you really need to consider moving up that schedule. So I continue to lay that out there as an option, as a starting point for us as we look to the future and, how we're going to handle the system over the span of the next 10 or 15 years.
We definitely have to put a plan in play for future administrations down the road. If nothing is done, then 15 to 20 years, they're going to have one hell of a problem on their hands. So maybe we start setting monies to the side. I say we continue doing right now, trying to do whatever we can to improve it, every avenue we can take. It's not going to go away because manganese is in the water for everybody around here. It's not just a Madisonville problem, it's a South Louisiana problem. So I 100% agree on that. He also said to start saving your pennies for future projects.
Yeah, I think right now, what's in our budget, I don't have a budget in front of me, but it's maybe $20,000 or $30,000 a year for depreciation on the water system, which is a fraction of what we actually need to be putting away. And I don't even know that we're putting that away in cash because the water system doesn't make money to begin with. But we need to look at that, and it's got to be, to me, it has to be a priority because providing clean water is a priority. And then finally, we did talk about polyphosphates, and I just want to mention a couple of things that he said because I hadn't heard it before. One is that he described the process as it encapsulates the manganese as it's coming out of the well. And he said it's not a complete fix. He said the manganese is still there, you just don't see it, which is a concern to me. But he also said what I hadn't heard before was that at the periphery of the system, that the polyphosphates start to break down, and you still have the brown water at the periphery of your water system. So it didn't even sound like it was a complete fix on what we have to us. And beyond that, I continue to hear from people who don't want the polyphosphates in the water. Keith told me he's heard from some as well.
Well, I'm going to have to add something to that also, as what he told you, and when you brought the idea that we have such a small amount of manganese in our water that it's not even recommended to add the phosphates, he told you it doesn't matter about the amount. If you have manganese in your water, you're going to get brown water. Adding the phosphate, the polyphosphate is going to be the short-term solution to the brown water. So the amount that's going in there is not the problem. It's the fact that it's in there at all. So the phosphates would be the solution to the brown water. No problem starting some kind of a process to change piping. But that's not the solution to the brown water. The manganese is the problem. That's the cause of the brown water. The phosphates is the solution to treating the water.
One other important thing, because we talked about there are other possibilities to take the manganese out of the water, including filtration. And his recommendation was that because the wells are so old, he wouldn't put the money into filtration. So that probably makes a good bit of sense. And I think the filtration option was in the hundreds of thousands of dollars.
It was more than what he would advise putting into a well that's 60 years old.
The sand filtration program would cost us $750,000 to get it going, and then X amount of dollars to keep it maintained. But let us all realize manganese is never going to go away. In my mind, the best scenario is we control it, but it's never going to stop coming out of the well. We got it on Pine Street at very minimal specs. We got it on the north side of town. We've got it in other communities around us. Everybody has manganese, and the best hope I can see is just trying to control it.
But with that being said, we have applied for the grant for a new well, new tower, however we want to use that money. However, without that money, the funds that come out of the utility funds is the only funds we can do. And we do, and I'm not saying this is wrong, but we are concerned about how much we have to raise the water rates because it still has to pay for itself. So we can use the utility funds to pay for it, and it'll take time. And hopefully we can get a grant to do the things, a new well, if we need pipe replacing. So far we're being told we don't. But it's also holding the manganese. The pipes are in good condition for the most part, but they are going to grow older, and maybe outlive their usefulness. So the money is not unlimited from the funds that we have in our general fund, et cetera. So that just we have to continue to put a pencil to it and continue to apply for those grants to get that money to do the well, do the tower, and do what we can in the meantime as far as replacing or fixing the issue currently. But but we don't have, so yes, we could put money aside, but it could cost the community more in their monthly water payments, and we pay so little, maybe that's not necessarily a bad thing, but.
While we're talking about grants for the water, it was brought to my attention for the 2025 session for the Senate, they gave out to municipalities in Louisiana $4,660,000 in dollars to help people either put new wells, new towers. There is at least 15 different towns with various amounts from $17,500 to $2,500,000, $750,000. So there's monies out there we can continue to apply for to help us alleviate this problem. So it's been rumored that the state has no money, the feds have no money. There's still money. You just have to put a good grant program together and have a shovel-ready project like we always do. That's why we've been successful.
Keith, that first number you said didn't make any sense. Could you repeat that? How much was given out total?
$4,666,000.
So, whenever, the wells themselves are tested annually with a well company. When they free flow them, they see how high, pump curves and all kind of stuff. The wells are fine. They're not gonna poop out on us tomorrow. But Owen and White, he did say he would recommend a filter, but not on a 60-year-old well, because it's, I think he said $2 million or something like that. So before we had met, I talked to Bia. I'm like, Bia, why couldn't we just make that reservoir bigger on Pine Street? It's like 75,000 gallons now. Make it big enough to handle the whole town. So then we mentioned that to Owen and White. Well, back whenever they put it in, they put a little 4-inch free-flowing well. Even with like a 1 million gallon tank there, it wouldn't keep up, except if we had a fire or some kind of large demand like that. So that's when he said, would you spend $2 million and put a filter on a 60-year-old well, or drill another well where you know you got good water, let them run the model to see where the elevated tank will need to be for pressures, shoot it over there, and you have 2 wells or 1 well, and then the other one for backup.
And at that point, if we wanted a filtration system, that would be when we would put it in, I'm assuming.
Oh,
If we needed it, right? But
and then at that point, you could continue. You'd have, if you know you have clean water, and then Gary's still getting brown water. Then you know, if we can't flush it out, then you know at that point you got some pipe that's got to be changed
replaced.
out.
Yeah. Okay. The people at home want to hear you, Gary.
Yeah, I know they do. And just a question, I know y'all touched on it just a while ago, for the levels. You know what the levels are going in the pipe. Magnets.
Correct.
But I think it was Lewis that asked the question, are you measuring the levels when you're actually flushing it?
No, that's something we could.
But if you did that, you know what's going in at. If you're getting a higher level where it's coming out at, well, then you know you're cleaning some out the pipes, right?
Correct.
It's coming from somewhere.
And
I'm assuming that's what
And it should go
Lewis
to
was
pretty much
getting at.
0, because you can visually see it.
So, just a thought.
And again, I mean, we've had a request for capital outlay for several years now for a new well. We haven't received that. Now, certainly that doesn't, today, it is at the top of our priority list. It certainly was not at the, at the top of the priority list 5 years ago. The sewer system was, and the amount of repairs that had to be made to the sewer system was the reason why I guess it was there. And we were fortunate to get a $2 million capital outlay just last year, and we're completing that. Today, both our senator and our representative, they know that the new water well and the elevated tower is our priority. They know that what we've been attempting to do. It's been discussed with them numerous times. It was discussed just last Wednesday night at the table with our state rep. So if not a capital outlay, a grant, as Louis mentioned, has been, we've been made aware of a grant that we need to apply for. A grant comes with, that's going to come with some relief, and some of it, some percentage of it will be, we'll know prior to signing for the grant, what part of it we're relieved of paying. And I think it was up to 50% we could possibly get waived. Is that correct? Right?
She said up to 100%. It was at least 50, up to 100, yes. But we have to borrow the money first.
But we'll know in advance. Okay, so, and the point is too, with the monies that we do have, and we're certainly not a poor community, thank God. But with the monies we do have, that's how you pay for the percentage of the grants that you're required to pay for. And with a $6 million water well and elevated tank, if just 20% of it was your responsibility, it requires a lot of money. So certainly, it is a priority. It's been a priority, and it will continue to be a priority till we figure, till we solve the problem. I think we know what the problem is, and we've looked at different ways to solve this and resolve it. But I guess right now, the well, with the fact that we've got two wells and they're both 60 years old, a new well and an elevated tank is and possibly should be the direction that we're all looking at.
Could we take a second just to clarify where we're allowed to pull these funds from to pay for these types of projects? I'm new to this, and I've learned a couple things, but I think it would help to say it and clarify, because I know that we have a lot of money in our budget that are spent on other projects, but that money maybe couldn't be spent on this because of how the budget works. Could you just clarify that?
Well, the money, no. The monies that are set aside from funds over the years that have not been spent, they're set aside in three different areas. It's either in a general fund, and it's not as much money there. There is, yeah.
Created by, being paid by
Sales tax, 50% sales tax. There is,
for certain projects, correct?
well, the sales tax, there's three funds. It's a general fund, sales tax fund, and all utilities. Any other questions real quick for Kyle on what happened last week? Thank you. All right, so
The general fund money comes from where?
50, well, it's 50, the sales tax, every year that's collected, 50% of the sales tax goes in general fund and for general operations. 50% goes in sales tax, which is used for streets, sidewalks, road maintenance, and street maintenance. And there's utility funds, and the utility funds are all of our utilities, and those funds is a third fund that's set aside from past years of funds that have been in excess, that we've, not excess, it's been in surplus, that's the word,
Okay.
yeah.
And so,
Majority of that coming from the gas.
are we allowed to use the general fund and sales tax fund for the utilities?
General fund you can, and the utility fund you can. Sales
Okay.
tax is,
Okay.
yeah,
Now-
for the streets.
If we pulled from the general fund and put towards a utility expenditure, is that what Brad's talking about? Where we would have to essentially raise the cost of water for residents because we went over our utilities fund?
No.
No?
Let me clarify that. The water fund has to pay for itself alone to qualify for federal funds. Has to be 100%, we're at 101%. So if the water system required a lot of upgrade,
Yeah. No, you're right. No, actually, I was going to tell you, once every 5 years, the town has to have a study, a rate study. And it's actually been requested for this year. And we're waiting on a date. And that rate study is for the water rates and for sewer rates. So it's time for us to have that. They, the rate study is going to tell us what they recommend the water rates to be to pay for the water and the expenses in what we have today. That certainly is not including a $6 million.
Right, that's what I was going to ask.
It doesn't include, it's your day-to-day operations.
Okay, so it will never say, okay, well, you need this much to change. Yeah, no,
right.
okay.
Yeah, it won't include a new water tower and a new well.
Okay, so we could use monies in the general fund and use it towards utilities if we needed to, correct?
Well, priority would be use it out of the utility fund.
Correct, right, but if we
That's-
ran
and
short.
The utility fund is where the majority of the money's at, yes.
Okay, and ballpark figure, how much do we have in surplus currently in the utilities fund?
Utility,
5
$5
million?
million.
Thank you.
on the operation of the new system, if that's costly, then the rates could go up, and that's what I was referring to. Last year, we had a small rate increase the year before.
It's been a while.
Small rate increase because we weren't at that 100%, 100+, 100.1% or whatever that we have to
1.15,
be
yeah.
to qualify for any further grants. So if the cost goes up of actually operating it day to day, then the rates could go up. But it's not gonna go up enough to pay for the $6-9 million project. I didn't mean to imply that.
So,
The splash pad and the hookups on the river, what fund paid for that? That was before my time.
Utility.
The utility fund paid for?
Well, no, general fund, because it was done during a current year's budget. And when I say general fund, it's all of it was done and it was paid for during that year's allocated funding.
Okay, so between the two, that was right at $1 million
Yeah.
to do those two projects. Did any of it come from the
no,
recreation? Did any of it come from the recreation?
No, well, no, because again, you're saying that, but the splash pad was a grant and we paid a very small percentage of that.
Looking at the budget, it said we paid $350,
Right.
and then it was 600 something for the
It was
riverfront,
500, yeah.
which is $1 million. I'm saying $1 million. But did any of the money that funded that come from the recreation tax Deidre just mentioned?
No,
No.
no. You're talking about the sales tax? Sales
The
tax?
recreation portion of the sales tax?
No, because that's committed to streets, roads, and sidewalks.
What's the recreation part then? That I'm
where's
missing.
recreation? I guess that's a good question.
Well, there is no.
It's going to be in,
Under general fund?
and it could be in, I'm not sure right now, yeah.
Okay.
Do we have any historical document that, I'm assuming that the 2% sales tax was approved by voters at some point in time. Or at least, if it wasn't approved by voters, it was enacted here by the legislative body. Do we have some historical document that actually has the verbiage of what that 2% could be used for? Because that would be useful to me.
What it could be used for?
Yeah, what was the legal definition of what that money, those sales tax dollars could be used for?
Okay. Yes, you do have it. No, there is documentation on that.
I think that would help Kristen, if we could see
Well,
the actual language.
I don't think it would hurt. I
Well,
mean,
it goes to, once that goes to general fund and once it goes to tax fund. And he just explained what those funds can be used for. So that's where it goes and that's where it can be used.
I think my bigger concern was just knowing that we had that surplus in the utilities. So if our well failed tomorrow, we have enough money to replace the well, correct? I mean, based on all the information that we have so far.
I think it,
One other caveat with that. There's only like one or two companies in the country, you said, Keith, that would drill a well like that, that are even available.
That's what David said. There were two major companies only across the country, and you have to get in line.
well, again, both wells, I think you heard Kyle say, both wells are flowing well. And we have,
Right.
and we've also provided for an emergency water system. So we should not put out the fear factor.
No, that's not what my intention was.
Okay, all right.
I just wanted to know if we had the money to get a well, if we needed to, or if we wanted to make that decision. So, understood.
We certainly do. And just like today, we had a major gas line cut, and we've got the money to have it fixed and call in a company to fix it tonight because we have those reserves.
Well, and that's the other thing about keeping that kind of reserve and trying to get grants to help us with this. That with this major gas line and the amount of money that the gas company brings to the town to help pay for utilities, we have to be careful with that money if we have any major failures, because we're getting bigger and bigger.
Right, it's a large company.
What that number should be, whether it should be $1 million or 16 million, I'm not gonna guess, but.
Who cut the line?
A contractor outside of town.
So they're paying 50.
They will pay, they will be paying, yeah. Now, we have to pay to fix it, and then we'll bill them, yeah.
And Kristen, something else about reserves and the way we manage the monies here. Let's go back to Hurricane Ida, devastated the town. We were the first municipality to get cleaned up after the storm because we didn't have to wait for FEMA to fund our cleanup. Thanks to the mayor's vision, we had all the contractors notified 3 days before the storm. They were on standby. They came in. We had the cash in reserves, paid to have the town cleaned up, and then we had to deal with FEMA every single day and every week of trying to get reimbursed. FEMA's good about saying they'll pay for something, but it's 3 years down the road you get a little bit of a check or whatever. They're going to get back there.
2015 before we got the final check from Katrina.
But what I'm saying is, we have to manage the monies that we have on hand to keep
Right,
the pipeline
absolutely.
going.
Right. I think just having a better understanding of where we can pull funds from and how much is there is, I think it's important. So,
100%.
yeah.
I have a question. This is a total question. Kimberly Thickman, 827, 825 Old Ponchatoula Highway. I was approached by my neighbor asking me about the church and about the property beside Mr. David Stein's old property. This was Lane Pennington that came to me. And I said, I know that I'd sit down. So I reached back out to Mr. Jack Mitchum. I don't know if you know him, Kristen. He used to be Just the Peace here forever. He owns where the Notorious Pig. He owned this whole corner. He said at one time his family had donated where the church is. And long as it was this church, it would always have to be a church. It could never be anything else. But that Mr. Buddy Godchild had come. I don't know which attorney owns the property next to Dave Stein. Is that your family?
Yeah. You talking about across the street from the church?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's his name.
Okay. So that Mr. Buddy Godchild, so my question is, because Lane asked me, I said, I don't know. I will ask at the council meeting because I have no idea, because Mr. Jack had told me one time the numbers of the multi-housing family, because Mr. Buddy was wanting to go in there and put 4 duplexes in there. I'm sure like Tim, you want 4 duplexes across from my house? I don't. What is our limit at for the multi-housing that we have to come to? Because he's looking to buy that and put up 4 duplexes. Are we at our limit to a field of multi-housing? I know the church can't change. I know the fire station never changed, but that's 4 lots right there. And how many duplexes can he put on each lot?
It's 4 lots. I don't know how big the lot is.
That's
Is it
what I was
one
told.
lot?
It's 180,000. It's 4 different lots. And he's wanting to come back and put, I think they told him he could put 2 on each lot. I'm asking, I don't know. But I told Lane when I came, I would ask because he lives right next door and they're wanting to come put up, so that'd be 2, 4, 6, 8 multi-housing put right there. I don't want that across the street from my house.
Didn't we just have a discussion on the same topic?
Yeah,
on
Lewis was
Johnson
working-
Street Not long ago?
Lewis is working on an ordinance about this. I mean,
That's where it's at.
didn't we complete that?
Huh?
Didn't
Yeah,
we
it's
change? Yeah, we
completed.
changed the
Yeah,
rules.
that- not knowing, you're telling us all that it's 4 separate lots? It's in the books, it's 4 separate lots?
Correct.
Okay. I think the change, actually, Louis, you made the recommendation, but that was for an acre, wasn't it?
It was to limit for multifamily housing, to limit the density to no more than 12 per acre. So we'd have to look at the size of those lots.
The lot, yeah.
But it also, we increased the setbacks. So the setbacks before were 5 feet back and side, we increased those to 10 feet. So that could perhaps, it depends on the dimensions of the lot, but, you know,
I don't know. That's what I was
I think those are,
asking.
as,
Well,
I don't know.
Is it 60 or 120, roughly a quarter of an acre?
no, that's well below that. No.
Yeah, that's only a 1/4 of an acre, I think. It's a 1/4 of an acre. Yeah, I was like, it's not an acre, it's a 1/4 of an acre.
It's maybe an eighth of an acre or something.
Yeah.
It's not much.
So do we know
So-
where we're at on that? Are we to our limit or?
We do know, just not knowing the size of the lots, I have no answer for you tonight.
Okay, no, what I'm saying,
But
do we
the
know?
ordinance is in effect as far as what the density of how
So
many
what does
units.
that mean, the density? What,
The number of units.
the number of
The
units,
number
okay.
of units, yeah. So
Tim, I think
it's
the entire, like, starting down there in the curve by the well, coming all the way to my house on the
North
opposite side from you, that's almost all multifamily zone.
Yeah, but that side of Johnson, and
Yeah, that's my question. The attorneys, they had the big pool they had to fill in. What, Danny.
it goes,
Yeah, that whole street
goes
is,
all the way down.
yeah, it goes all the way down because Mr.
So if it's 60 by 120, if it's an eighth of an acre, then there would be that would be a total, according to our order, that'd be a total of 6.
Okay, well, like I said, I was just asking.
If it's 12 per acre and that's an eighth of an acre, and there's
Right.
4 of them, I mean, that's guesstimate.
And again, I don't know how many lots are. I'm just going for what Lane approached me to ask, and I said, yes, I will ask.
That would be, those 4 lots, if that is indeed the size of them, is less than half an acre.
So it may be less than 6.
Yeah, so like I said, I wasn't saying, I was just asking, because I don't
Kim,
want to let
I'm looking at a map right now, and I see your house. Where is this in relation to your house?
Okay, if you're leaving my house, David Stein it's catty corner. It's a little raised house. He has a pool. There's a fireplace back there, and they had a in-ground swim. The attorney, Tammy Turney's Danny, right? Mr. Danny. I couldn't think of his name. So that's a huge lot right there, and it goes back real
I
far.
see that one lot that's very large.
Huh?
I see the one lot that's very large. Is that what we're talking
But,
about?
yeah, but it's very deep. But it's 4 lots right there. Because the realtor has it listed as 4 lots.
Oh, they're trying to sell it as 4 lots?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm looking at the zoning map, and at the water well, on that side of Old Ponchatoula, which eventually becomes Johnson, that's all zoned multifamily all the way to Third Street. So starting at the water well on Old Ponchatoula to Johnson, all the way to Third Street, on that side of the street is all multifamily with the exception of the institutional zoning where the town's property is. So that, the answer to your question is we're nowhere close to the limit on what could be built along that stretch.
That's what I thought. So I talked to Mr. Peter about it when he was mayor, and he's like, yeah, all that was zoned then. Then I talked to Mr. Jack, and he said, you're good with the church unless the church goes out of business. Right, but what I'm saying is now Mr. Buddy Gottschall is one, when he said, but there was a certain, Mr. Peter, if I remember correctly, saying there was a certain number that we had to meet, and that's all we had to meet, and nothing else had to be approved. There were so many that had to be approved. I was wondering, are we at that level yet? Have we approved all the multifamily housing?
I'm not familiar with the number.
Give me a number for
Well, when they did it originally, yeah, they had to have
Yeah, per federal government.
dedicated to multifamily.
Right, it's my understanding the minimum amount was already applied. Does that make sense? They didn't go over.
I got you. You just have a minimum, there's no maximum.
Yeah.
Yeah, my understanding is a minimum amount of land space and every allocated multifamily, not necessarily units.
Right, it just has to be allowed. It doesn't mean that, oh, we have to have a minimum number of multifamily. It means that we have to have a minimum number of, or volume of land that's available to be built that way.
But are we at that point? Because we have several duplexes down from my house. Oh, there is no
There's,
max.
right, so there's no max. The point is, the land that is currently zoned that way, that is the minimum. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So we can't go less than what we have right now. We can't
Right.
change zoning. Just,
Right.
I hope that answered you.
Question, ultimate question is based on that piece of, that plot, that property, how many units can be built on based upon how many
Well,
questions?
so if it's
That's the question.
12
I-
per
I
acre,
agree with that.
if it's 12 per acre, and Gary estimates
Yeah,
6,
yeah.
is less than a half acre, in theory, it would be 6.
4 to 6.
Okay. And that's because we don't
Right.
know the actual.
Right.
And offsets and all that, so you'd probably be limited at 4, if that's what the measurement.
You also put in wetlands.
Yes.
Right, I mean, they would have to spend a lot of money to mitigate the land. So just remember too that it's
Well, I
it's
mean, there was a
costly.
house there before.
Right, but if you look at this, that house is right up on the front. It goes way back, and I bet the front was not wetlands, but the backside is.
Yeah.
Not saying it won't happen,
Right.
but I mean, it's already zoned that way.
Right.
So there's no real change in that.
But I guess what I'm backing up saying is, so if we're at the minimum, why can't we rezone? I mean, I'm sure Tim doesn't want all that traffic and more people coming in, more water problems, more this. Where we're already having so much problems, are we gonna, I mean, is there not something we can try to rezone or something? Not to have 4 duplex there? I mean, because I didn't build there to have all that. Not that I'm dogging anyone that has, multifamilies, but we already got water problems. We already got problems. We don't need 4 more duplexes going in with, however many people using water, traffic in and out, speeding, the whole 9 yards. So if we're at our whatever minimum that we meet, why not rezone it to, single-family housing before it gets out of control?
I think, at least my understanding is that that is part of reaching that minimum. So if we removed that, we would have to apply it somewhere else. You see what I'm saying?
We don't have an extra square foot of multifamily anywhere in the town. My understanding is, I could be wrong here.
What about the 17 acres down there by the collision center?
If it was up to me, we'd have zero.
I know, but I'm just asking, you're saying you have no land, but you got the 17 acres down there by the collision center?
What I'm saying is, the area of town that's zoned multifamily, my understanding, what we have zoned that now is the minimum that we have to have. Right?
Mhm.
It's not like we can take some away.
Right.
We can take all away.
Right.
I love that.
Right.
My understanding, we can't.
That's my understanding too.
That's how I understand it.
But I'm saying as a board, because that's something you can look into since we already have so many problems with that in the town before someone does buy that and throw all this up.
I was talking to multifamily, it goes from that, a lot of that.
We can look and see if that's the minimum and that's where we have to be. We can definitely look at that, I guess.
Yeah, that's all I'm asking, just to look into it, because I mean, we already have enough problems on it in town without pouring up, 46 complexes up with more traffic, more volume, more water being used, the whole 9 yards. That's all.
Thank you. Okay, moving into the agenda. First thing on the agenda is finance, and that's in finance. Committee members, Councilman Bounds, Councilman Haddix. And on the first thing on the agenda is the wage study. And Deidre spoke with what's the name of the company? SSA Consultants today. He has still not heard anything back from, did you reach out to Franklin?
I got a different name and another voice.
Okay, he hadn't heard anything from Franklin. He's completing his report from the information that he's got from us, and he's completing it from the information that he's gotten from Folsom. Yeah, I mean, he had those. So, I'm sorry. So anyway, he's completing that, and we should have something.
Do we have a new due date?
Do we have a date? No, I asked him for a date that he would be making presentation to the council, and his target date is next month's committee meeting. That's his target date. Okay? All right. Any other comments? We'll move on. Moving on to operations and maintenance, committee members, Councilman Ogle, Councilman Dennis. First thing on the agenda is the lighting ordinance. The lighting ordinance was given to all of you all, and actually it's not a lighting ordinance. The lighting ordinance for Covington was given to everyone to review, to bring back comments, and to express, I guess, your desires whether or not we move into any kind of a lighting ordinance. Is there a need for one? Is there a recommendation of what part of that ordinance should be considered? I mean, nothing's been done because at this point, nothing's been received back. Any comment from anyone? Council?
I think we need one. That's become obvious. It was, we had a resident that spoke about his concerns being right next to a commercial property. But I sent Deidre some pictures. You have those that we could look at right quick? And it's actually related not just to the lighting ordinance, but to this issue of gas stations. What you got?
I was just gonna say, let's stick with the lighting.
I don't think I can separate the two.
Oh,
But, so this is a gas station, Circle K. It's right on the corner of 190 and Gerard Street in Mandeville. And to me, there's nothing offensive about this. But what's that? Okay. Next picture, you got it? All right. They have some light poles that I went out and measured. They're about 22 feet high. And so, but they're LED and they point downward so that they're not, it's a type of light that's not going to, go into traffic, go to adjacent properties, things like that. You got another picture that's closer up. That's the light pole there. And if you go to the last one, yeah, that's it. That's just from Google Maps, actually. They have 4 pumps. So that's the other thing I wanted to add about the pumps. The first picture...
Can we wait till we get to the pump?
We can.
Let's stick
So
with the lighting.
just on the lighting part, I went and talked to Christine across the street here at Route 22, and she and I measured her canopy there, just to see how high is that, because that was part of the concern. And it's about 17 or 18 feet. It's not a flat canopy. It kind of goes down in the middle and higher on the edges. But I do think that we need an ordinance. The Covington ordinance, to me, seemed a bit complicated with things like lumens and how bright the light bulbs were, and I just don't see Al going around with a light meter and, checking on things like that. But I do believe we should have an ordinance that addresses the downward direction of the lights, making sure it doesn't go into traffic, several things that are in the Covington ordinance, and making sure that it does not shine on someone's adjacent property, because we have plenty of people in town, myself included, that live right next to commercial property. And I think it's part of what I like about the town, this mixed use that we have in town, that we have all these, services that are so close to us. So I would say, yeah, we do need a lighting ordinance. I don't think it needs to be as complicated as the Covington one. You originally had Tim on the list, but I'm happy to write the ordinance, give it to Bruce, let him look at it and see what needs to be changed.
And again, I did mention, and I was hoping that maybe we had some feedback. The one complaint and one person who brought this to our attention, since him bringing it to the council, we did have the light that he was referring to redirected, and I don't know if he's still having the problem. It has been redirected by Clico. Yeah, so I don't know if he's still having the problem. And again, all I'm asking is that if there's a desire for a lighting ordinance, then the council needs to give that information and their feedback to the town so that we can furnish it to Mr. Danner and we can discuss it for our next meeting. I mean, that's what I'm asking for. If you feel like there's a need, come back with a recommendation.
I agree with Lewis. I found it to be a positive way to control light pollution in a town. Can be used to promote safety while driving or walking around town with the lights that are not spilling over and getting into seniors' eyes or what have you. I found it to be very informative, and as y'all know, I have the lights from across the river at Marina Del Rey that come into my home at night and just light up my bedroom. So I can attest to having too strong of a lumen on a light. Maybe I like this ordinance, but I agree with Lewis. Maybe it doesn't have to be as stringent, but I think we need to do something.
I agree. I saw some minute stuff that wasn't that, and I didn't comment on anything. I think in general, it's a great ordinance that we have from Mandeville, but I apologize, and I will study it and get back with you.
Okay.
I agree with Lewis. I think whatever we decide on needs to be manageable. The Covington ordinance is a little more complex than I think that we could maintain. So I like the idea of just saying, hey, look, lights need to be downward. And that's a simple thing that we can easily enforce.
Yeah, part of that was not shining on your neighbor's property.
Right, exactly. Yeah, and that's all easily enforceable. That's not something that's putting too much on the plate of the town, but also still protecting the residents. So I agree on that.
Okay, come back to the meeting with recommendations. Next thing on the agenda is a sign ordinance. I asked Bruce to make comment on this sign ordinance. Has been going on for a while, and I guess it was initiated several years ago, actually, because of a temporary signs or political signs. And Bruce, if you can make some comment as far as what you've done.
Okay, a few years ago I started this process, and first I referred to numerous towns who have sign ordinances, but the most comprehensive I've seen was from Mandeville, and they go They go very, very far, but we are not in that category, okay? The category we're in, I believe, is that we've never had really any problems except on that one occasion, and that has to do with residential, okay? So what I prepared is a sign ordinance for A1 residential district. And basically what it says, okay, is simply that no signs are allowed except temporary signs, okay? And those temporary signs are defined in the ordinance. And that would include, among other things, let me see, advertising, well, let's see, which advertise sales, you know, what do they call them? Sales at homes for different things, yard sales, whatever, political elections, campaigns, construction projects, property sales, you know, real estate sales, and community events, which are normal, okay? But nothing more than that. You don't want to see somebody's business sign or anything else in somebody's yard. It's just that simple. And so I think if you're fine with that, then I made some restrictions, and that relates to first, and I have blanks there under B, 1B, as to how many days prior to the event that they would be allowed to be put up, and then how many days after the event that they have to be removed.
Okay, quick question. And it's just my thought, but I think you got time estimates for the temporary signs, but I think that needs to be different than the political. No, the only reason I say that is, we definitely need time estimates on prior and post. Typically, political, I think we decided no more than 3 months prior is what we had decided on. We don't want that for a construction site or a event or should we delineate political signs?
No. Political signs, well, you all not.
I just meant the time the political signs.
We use, I mentioned political signs as an example, okay, but not to highlight it, okay, because of constitutional reasons, okay? And so, they are lumped in with the rest of the signs. I think that's the best way to go.
Okay, but I have a problem with that because, I mean, let's do away with political signs as far as I'm concerned, but.
And you're really in trouble.
I know. But if we're gonna put a time limit on these signage such as yard sale, event, remodeling, whatever, then those don't need to be 90 days prior. But the political signs, we had agreed to be 90 days prior and removed within 30 or 11 days. Why is there an issue with delineation of political versus others?
Because you're highlighting something that we would not like to highlight. And that's political, a person's right to say what they want with regard to a political thing, okay? So
Even though you're allowing more time, even though you would be giving the political signs more time than the other signs, that would still be problematic?
it could be, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Why do we need 90 days?
That's another thing. Why do we need 90 days?
We used 90 days before because people were putting up a year in advance.
We talk about always trying to make this town look great. I'll be honest with you, political season's hideous around here. This place is littered with that junk. You know, I would love to see us dramatically reduce the time and the number you can put out if that's even possible. I mean, it's crazy.
Okay.
That's fine.
Oh, a real estate sign. Okay, they're not going to put that up 30 days. They can't put it up until they sign the listing agreement, and then they'll put it up, and that'll be immediate. Okay, so there's really no it doesn't even apply to it, but you'll put the same amount of time, okay? But they can't apply. You think a real estate agent's gonna put up a sign 30 days or 60 days or whatever time period prior to them even listing the property for sale? They can't do it. It's illegal. So, take another one, construction projects, okay? Same thing, okay? Whoever the contractor is gonna have to have the contract signed before they do anything, but as soon as they sign the contract, then it will apply. So, so something is going on. Political elections and stuff is a little bit different, but nonetheless. So I don't think you're going to have any, if you're going to extend it out 30 or 60 days, it's not going to apply to these others because legally they're not going to put up a sign until such time that they have either a listing, a contract, or something, okay?
Sometimes there's like I will, I guess, admit, I have my granddaughter's school sign in my yard. You know what I'm talking about? Like, I'm proud parent of SSA graduate or whatever, those signs. They're not really mentioned here. It's not a specific event. Well, how would we handle those?
It is a temporary sign. You're not going to mention every sign that by identifying it. So
If
the temporary.
If we have somebody going to complain about the sign he just mentioned, we got bigger fish to fry.
Yeah.
I would certainly hope we never get to that. The number of signs we have in town showing the junior high awards, my child's student, you know, it's, if we ever get to that point, I'll be honest with you, you can have my seat, I'm leaving.
Or Garden of the Month sign.
Just remove the sign.
Yeah, how many complaints have we had in the last, I don't know
We
how
can
many
ordinance
years, okay?
ourselves to death, and I'm gonna quote our past mayor, Peter Getz. If we're gonna write an ordinance for every single thing that we can and can't do in this town, we might as well all go down to one of these fancy gated subdivisions, all right? I hope we don't have to start addressing Lewis or even myself. I got one in my yard. My daughter's a hawk, right? It's in a little flower bed by my back door, but still, it's there. It's been there, oh gosh, 8 months now. So I hope Al's not beating on my door tomorrow, writing me up, but, you know, that's.
All right, so we have, I just counted 5 separate signs. There's a sign section for every zoning classification we have. You're only recommending this for A1?
No, because we do mention, in how many are there? A1, A2?
Hold your button down.
I have it down. Now I do. Okay. All those signs which relate to either directly or indirectly residential, we can just insert that, okay? Take out what they have. But with regard to commercial, okay, all we have to do is put this in the commercial. But, I mean, have we ever had a problem with commercial signs? Because we define how large the sign can be, okay? And that's really, nobody's going to put a ridiculous sign up, okay, advertising their business, okay? And I don't mean ridiculous in terms of size, because we already have restrictions as to size. So I don't foresee that. But with regard to temporary signs, we can use the same terminology, okay, for every district that we have.
And that's what you're proposing?
Every residential district.
Every
district.
Well,
you can
no,
put temporary
any
signs in
district, but you can
commercial.
still have political signs in commercial districts.
You don't want temporary commercial signs.
No, I'm not talking,
I
I'm
know,
talking
but-
about temporary signs.
I know you don't want temporary commercial signs either.
No, you don't want temporary signs in commercial districts.
Period.
No, you can. Why not?
The ordinance you're writing is saying, it really doesn't matter if it's residential, commercial, if they're temporary signs, they have to comply to this ordinance. Yeah.
Same would apply to commercial districts, okay? So if you have a business commercial district and you want to put up a political sign, fine, but these provisions will apply. As soon as you give me the final go-ahead, but then I'll insert it in every single one.
Okay, so right now, I just went through it quickly. There's 6 different zoning classifications that have a temporary sign ordinance or section. And then there's one industrial that just says reserved, so there's no language there. But the temporary sign says that it has to be taken down 10 days after the election, basically. There's no maximum number of days under the current ordinance that you can put a sign out, or minimum number of days. And what Brad's saying is maybe 90 days is good, is that right?
That's what we were talking about in the past, and that's the number we threw out. But if people want to reduce that to 30 days, or I have no problem. If it's as a group, I just was pointing out that political signs were allowed, we had agreed on 90 days and 10 days
But,
post.
if we want to insert days here for the temporary signs, which includes political, we're saying all temporary signs.
Yes.
To get away from writing an ordinance or rewriting an ordinance that identifies political.
Right.
We want to get away from that and just recognize that a political sign is a temporary sign.
Right.
So no earlier than 60 days before the election?
Sounds good to me. Excuse me.
I mean, 10 days after the election, they should be up.
Right.
They should be up the next morning. But 10 days after the election is good. It's how far in advance of the election do you want to insert that number? Let's start from the back and work forward. Is 10 still the correct time?
I think that's too long myself.
After the election.
That's good. I mean, I always say it's good because
Jump out of bed and go pick your signs up.
mine are up the next day.
He did. I saw him.
I say 5 days after the election.
Okay, that's fine.
That sounds good.
I think that's fair. I mean, people could have things planned the next day. You never know. But I agree. It's not that hard to get up and just pull them up, But 5 days is reasonable.
Well, this not only pertains to that, it pertains to any temporary sign.
Correct.
So it's 5 days?
Yes.
Is that the feeling? Okay, let's go to the beginning. How far before an event? How far before an event?
You and Tim have both said 60 days. That sounds
60
good to
days?
me.
I go 60.
I said 30, actually.
Fine with 30, yeah.
Okay, so it's
45?
huh?
Can I throw out 45? I just think those things, to be honest, I mean, it's a shame the amount of work that goes in this town and the residents and keeping their places up and the work that our departments do. And to see the actual eye clutter of those signs scattered all over the place. I just think 60 days is,
I'm fine with whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm fine with 30. I'm fine with 45. I agree, and I've as many or more signs out than most, and it's not because I think it looks nice. It's just
Yeah, I'll tell you, I remember a post in Kristen's downtown Madisonville group after the end of the election. I can't remember who said it, but they said, "Thank God the signs are gone." And people were sick of the signs. I can tell you, people were sick of the signs long before Election Day. And I think I put out the fewest signs. I might have been the only one who didn't put a big sign at the entrances to town because I felt like, gosh, if that size isn't allowed in town, why would I put it 10 feet out of the limits?
If you'd like to put no day.
No,
No sign.
no, but I'm going to suggest something, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to suggest something. I'm going to suggest that whoever's running in 3 years, that maybe we have a gentleman's agreement or a gentlewoman's agreement to only put one on our house. I didn't use all my signs, and I can tell you something else. When I was walking around, I came up to people who had a bunch of signs on their front yard, and they said, "I'm not voting for a single one of the people that I've got signs in my yard for." other people. It just turned into, it's a small town. It really turned into a bad situation, the whole sign issue. So, yeah, for me, I'd be happy to say no signs. But you couldn't do it in ordinance, but a gentleman's agreement.
One for no signs?
I don't like the signs, period, whether it's ours or any other elections.
That's
you
two
know, or
votes
do
for
we-
no signs.
Well, I mean, so do we meet in the middle and limit, no more than a dozen, whatever. The town
We don't
was-
wanna,
the
we
town
don't wanna
was-
have that,
The town was
because
just-
now you gotta have somebody start counting how many signs are out there. I mean, if, doesn't matter to me.
I think the 60 days is good, but in 2 or 3 years, when people are starting to talk about running, I mean, the candidates ought to get together and talk about it and see if they can come up to an agreement among themselves.
I don't have a problem with that, but that's something we can all talk about outside of here.
You feel that strongly about it, change it to 30. There's not gonna be an agreement if two parties don't agree on anything else, so.
I would certainly hope that we have people that are gonna run for the office, that if we can't, if their intent is to truly do what's right for the town, if they can't sit down, no matter whether there's 3 running or 30 dozen running, if they can't sit down and come to some kind of agreement amongst ourselves to do what we think is best for the town, well, then we instantly know who to vote for.
Agreed,
Right.
agreed.
Yeah,
But I
so
don't
rather
think we
than-
should
rather
leave it
than-
up to that. I think
Rather
we
than
should
ordinance
make,
ourselves to death, let's put a date on it, and if you want to throw out 50,000 signs, good luck to you, buddy. Yeah, but I think it's an eyesore. I think it's something, I do like the idea that the people that qualify should get together and maybe come up with an agreement amongst themselves, and that'll show you right there who's in it for the town and who's in it for themselves.
So 30 days?
30 days?
I agree.
30 days.
30 days?
Before early voting or election day?
Before Election Day, Lewis. Gosh, dog it. Semantics.
It's,
I can do 30.
okay, 30 days it is. It sounds like.
Okay, no, two things.
Truthfully, they could be out there 1,000 days, and you'll have people in town say, oh, I never saw your sign.
Two things. First of all, under 1B, that when it says time estimates, it should read time constraints. Could you make?
Well, you're gonna change that
Well,
when
I
you,
already did.
when you rewrite
Okay,
it.
that's
Yeah.
fine. And number
And just
two,
put it-
Deidre, could you get and put it in my box, a copy of all of the other districts, okay, that relate to this type of thing, and so I can go ahead and make the changes, okay? Because they read a little bit differently, so I'm gonna have to format it differently. But it's gonna read the same thing.
Okay. All right. Is that it? Let's move to the next
I got
thing.
a question.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Deidre, would you also look up what our limit is, what our minimum is on multifamily housing compared
There is no, the
the minimum?
Okay, there's no maximum.
Because me and Tim both agreed in discussion here that what we have there is probably what the minimum requirement was. But we could double check that.
Unless a property owner asks to rezone their property, if
Yeah.
we start rezoning property that's in multifamily,
It's in people's,
yeah, you,
their finances and investments and.
you're gonna get yourself in trouble, I think.
I don't suggest that we rezone it, but it would be bad to understand why do we have the amount that we currently have? And are we above or below the maximum that's required for us to get federal funding, right? I think that's all he's asking. Do we have the right amount? And I couldn't tell you where to go to find that amount.
Yeah, I don't know where you're gonna
remember that being a discussion, that we had to have a certain amount of multifamily in town to qualify for certain federal whatever. If we find out we don't have to, we can't change it without the owner's approval, but it would certainly be something we can ask or request of certain owners. Just throwing it out there. It'd be interesting to know what the requirements are, and I have no idea where you would go to find that.
Yeah, I don't know where that came from to begin with. I would assume that you gotta have some of all of that in the zoning, But how much of it, I don't know.
Right, that was just, that would be
Percentage-wise.
something interesting for us to know factual, right? This is just going based upon what I was told before, by the previous mayor, that we had to have a certain amount of land dedicated to it. Can we confirm it? And that's why it was kind of moved where it is now.
Mayor, can
Okay.
I ask one quick question, please? Get
Yeah.
back to the political side, because I know it's gonna come back to me and Mr. Howe, and this may sound silly. You got an election, a larger election, and it's gonna be a runoff election. Okay, so everybody else decides the loss is coming down, obviously. The other ones are still gonna apply to be able to stay up until that election, the runoff election.
It's 5 days after the election.
Or whatever that is.
Yeah, whatever the date it ends. Yeah, so the runoff would be, it'd still be 5 days after that. Yeah,
Other ones just have to be picked up in
yes.
a lot of days, 5 days. I know that sounds cheesy, but it's gonna come back. to me.
Absolutely.
I don't know how it's gonna bite me, but it is. It's gonna bite me somewhere, I promise.
Okay, if we can move on. The next thing on the agenda is C1 commercial amendments to the gas pumps or pertaining to gas pumps. And Bruce, you want to take the lead on that also?
Okay, so as you can see, I prepared somewhat of an extensive, what would you say, a prologue or?
Preamble.
Preamble. And the purpose of that was to substantiate why we're doing this, okay? Because we are doing restrictions as to, property usage. And, but anything you want to take out, fine. My theory on preparing this thing was simply that I'd rather have too much in there you can strike out as opposed to too little in there which you didn't know about, okay? And so look through the preamble, and which is a full page, okay? And anything you want to change, anything you want to add, or anything you want to delete, hey, just let me know. Now, with regard to, it's under 36-90B8. I had, what I took was all of your comments, and I put them in there, just all of them, so it would be easy to strike out anything in there that you don't want, okay? So you'll see, for instance, A, the total number of gas stations within the C1 commercial district shall not exceed blank, okay? There was some mention of that, okay? Whether or not you want to perpetuate in the future is something else, but there was some mention of that, and you can just put a number in there. It's pretty simple. Or you can just say, strike it out, okay? And then as you go through each one, I have some blanks. New gas stations shall be located at least blank feet apart from each other. Now, there's a couple in there that we didn't specifically talk about, but I got ideas from looking either at other ordinances or some cases, in fact, sometimes.
Can we take those and either make a decision so that you can finalize this?
Yes.
And put numbers in there if we want to keep it? So A, total number of gas stations within C1 commercial district shall not exceed, is there a number that we want to in the whole C1 district?
C1 is from bridge to city limits?
Yeah,
Yeah, I don't think we need a limit.
I'm sorry,
I don't think we need a limit.
you don't think we need a limit?
I think it's overreach.
I think it's overreach, but I think that the residents of the community have told us specifically that this is what they want. So where do we find that balance, right? We want to appease the constituents and what they've told us, what they've communicated to us. I personally think we're not supposed to limit people in what they do with their land if it's already zoned a certain way. But I know the residents have asked for us to limit these types of facilities from overtaking the area.
I would think too is very restrictive because again, having a distance apart, and that's one of the things that's in here, if we want to do that. But when we talk about from the bridge, from the town limits on 22 to the town limits on the west side of 22, east to west, that's a long stretch. And to say two, and those two could be right next to each other, it eliminates the rest of the commercial district. So,
We already have two, so we're really saying 0 more.
That's exactly right. That's, you know,
huh?
that's,
And I don't think.
we already have two.
Where do we have two?
We have the two gas stations.
Well, Route 22 and where else? Others doesn't have a gas station.
Yes, they do.
No, they don't. No, but it hadn't been, it would have to be approved. It had, I mean, it's,
Oh.
the pumps are
Currently
going,
working.
but it potentially, that is the second one. So if you had two, you're not gonna have another one.
Well, but then if you.
Anywhere to the west of us.
And if you only have two and you put a feet apart, then they can all be as close as these two. So you could have two, you could have 4 of them in a row, basically.
Well,
I'm sorry, I mean, the feet apart is
Well-
too restrictive, I think.
well, if you had them no closer than 1,000 feet,
So
they're not gonna be next to each other.
so then we would be stopping brothers from reopening those gas pumps. 1,000 feet.
No, I don't know. That's up to, that's your decisions for the night.
So
A
right now,
quick-
we've only got one active fuel station in town, which is Route 22. Now, if we're looking at going west all the way out, I would not oppose putting a gas station between here and the town limits out there, say by the body shop. That would be two, if Brothers decides not to put a pump in town.
The miles, just a rough estimate from Google Maps here, is it's under 2 miles distance from the riverfront to the end of town. So how many gas stations would you want in a 1.84 mile drive? That's just, think about that too. I mean, it does feel like it's far because there's a lot of emptiness between there and here, right? But it's really not that far of a distance. I'm not opposed to a gas station over that way, but just remember that's not the only commercial area in town as well. So just be mindful of that.
Well, but we're limiting them we're limiting the gas station to C1.
Right. We have other areas in town though that are C1, right?
I thought C1 was just.
I don't think
we
so.
have C1
Y'all?
area going up 21.
Okay.
I really think we're only talking about what's on 22.
Yeah.
If it's only 22, then we're only talking about that 1.84 mile stretch then, correct?
Yeah.
Is that,
So what I'm saying is
That's what I was
potentially,
told.
we got the two in
Okay.
town, but I would not mind seeing one only going out towards the outer limits on the west side of
I
town.
would agree with that and make it 3, but I wouldn't put a distance apart strictly because these are too close together already.
I think 3 is fair.
I'm sorry.
I think 3 is fair for me.
3?
What do you? Yeah, we just. Well, Brad, you said 3. Kristen,
I think that's reasonable.
Tim said 2. What do you think?
I think three's fair.
Louis?
0.
0. Okay, so,
No limit.
okay,
I don't think we're gonna be having many gas stations.
yeah, so it looks like, there's 3 for 3. So let's move on.
So, right,
3's the number. Each gas station shall be limited to 4 individual nozzles and hose assemblies.
Can we pull that picture back up of the one in Mandeville?
Yeah, that was 8.
To me, you know, to me, with the landscaping, with the right lighting, it's 4 pumps, but it's, 8 bays. So you've got 2 cars on either pump. So one car on each side with 4 pumps. 8 cars could be fueling at one point in time. It's a small piece of property, and actually, you could probably pass it and not even notice it's a gas station, but with
I
the
would
lands.
agree with that.
So what's the number?
8.
So change
4
4
pumps,
to 8?
4 pumps, 8 nozzles.
8 nozzles? That's your recommendation?
Right.
Okay,
I like what we have here.
you like 4? Kristen?
Could I see this on the west side of town? Yes. I don't want that at Brothers. Does that make sense? I don't think there's space for that at Brothers. So I would like the language that's already existing, I think.
Okay, I agree. I was just thinking out there, but I don't want that in town. So I like what it is.
And not only that, for those who really want to make it big and they go out there, they'll see this as, hey, we don't even want a gas station.
All you can do is go an extra 100 feet, go past the city limits, something they want.
What is your thought?
Well, that is part of my problem with it, Tim. If they do that, the town loses all the revenue, and the station owners we have get hurt by it. And that the town gets hurt, and the business owners get hurt, and the property owners get hurt. And that's my concern.
Right, it also, it hurts if we allow it in the city limits. It hurts the same gas station owners. It hurts the same residents. I stand firm in my commitment in my entire time up here is doing whatever I can to preserve the small town charm. I don't want to hurt anyone's businesses. I'm not looking to deter business, but at the same time, with the way things are going, who would have thought 20 years ago we had 15,000 cars a day on average come over that bridge, right? If we, at the pace we're going, we already see what's happening on 21 from the time you pass the bayou to the time you get up to Target, right? That's just the North Shore version of Veterans Highway that's coming. My job, when I got elected, what I committed to is what do we do to preserve this small town charm, right? And at some point, you got to draw limits. That's just how I feel. I understand what you're saying. It's a valid point. My stance is no. I'm trying to find a way to keep us as small, as residential, and as quaint as humanly possible.
Let me add a different perspective for just a second. You know, when you look at life across the lake, especially in Orleans Parish, what are the big issues there? It's the things that people don't like. It's high property taxes, crime, aging infrastructure. Those are big city problems. But we've got those same issues right here, and we have to have revenue to address them. We just talked about, we've got a $12 million water fix, basically, over the next 10 or 12 years. So I'm not just looking at, limiting the number of gas stations, but also what do we need to keep this town running? And because we are a small town, and we don't have the pull that other big cities have when you're trying to compete for limited funds from the state level or the federal level. So to me, that plays into it as well. We've got crime all around us. We've got an aging infrastructure. We had the property tax issue. We already had a debate over. But, we need the money to maintain the small town atmosphere as well.
I agree with you, but I agree with what you said, but I also want to reflect back just a few months ago when you helped defeat rolling the millage forward that we should have done to keep the millage where it was at. So, you're speaking out of two sides now.
No, I'm just saying for the residents, because Tim's talking about the residents here. Should the residents and the property owners pay more property tax? That was my argument. That was my argument. Should they be paying more property tax when their property values already went up 20%, when everybody's paying more for flood insurance, for homeowners insurance? That was my argument.
The town is paying more for everything too.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. So, I mean, listen, I agree with what you just said, that revenues and the town has problems, and we need it, but I agreed also that we needed that to roll that forward. It didn't work, and it was defeated, but to say that now is kind of going both ways.
Well, the beauty of this process is we got 5 minds up here, 6 minds up here, and it's our jobs to all offer our input and then come to a collective decision, right? We're never going to have a situation where we always all agree. All right, I understand what he's trying to say, but I also understand every time we say yes to something, we are chipping away at our heritage, we're chipping away at our charm, right? And that's something that has been my number one stance. So yes, do we have the potential in the future to lose revenue? Absolutely. But at the same time, we throw 6, 8, 9, 10 gas stations, pumps down here. What's going to happen to the revenue down here? You're only going to spend a certain amount of money on gas in this 1.8 miles, right? There's only going to be so many gallons sold. So what happens if that is what's sold down here gets moved down there, our tax collection is still the same, right? What it's done is reduced down there, it's picked up over here. There's only so many gallons that we're going to sell in that 1.84 miles. So do we clutter it with businesses and then are all making less and contributing the same number of taxes as a base, but less each? And at the same time, we're cluttering it with more commercial property and businesses and infrastructure and traffic and all the other stuff, right? That's my position on it.
Okay, so your recommendation is 4? Just we can,
Yes.
to stick with 4.
My vision is what we currently have. However that wording is set up, with only 4 vehicles or 4 boats, 4 whatever can be pumped at one time.
Okay.
And I do, the gas station he highlights, I go there quite often actually, but they've done a great job there. So now we're talking about, are we gonna start writing in landscaping ordinances for all these properties they have to comply with, right? So we start opening up a whole lot of worms. But I think keeping it small, keeping it quaint is something I've stood for years and will continue to stand for.
Okay, so your recommendation is 4. Okay. Kristen?
My recommendation is 4, Mayor.
Kristen?
I stick with 4.
Brad?
4.
And 8, okay. It appears that 4 is the number, the proper number. Okay, C, new gas stations shall be located at least how many feet apart? Is that something that we keep in it, or we just restrict from it?
I think we can just take that out. That seems excessive. We're really only talking about these 2 that are, and they're already so close together, they'd have to be grandfathered in,
Okay.
right?
Taken out. Canopy, fueling, how high?
It was about 18, between 17 and 18, it's not flat. And I measured from the bottom of the canopy versus the top. So that gas station that you saw there in Mandeville had like a gabled roof on it. So I would measure it from the bottom versus from the top. And 18, Christine said her height is good for any vehicle that comes through there. So 18 feet is what I would say.
Maximum of 20?
Yeah, well, the
I'd say
problem-
18.
The problem, but
Let's say that again, sorry.
clear.
18 clearance? So you're doing anything maximum? Okay, so you want an 18 clearance? 18 clearance, okay.
No, this is a maximum, Mr. Mayor. The canopy over each fueling position shall not exceed 18 feet of.
Yeah, but the problem,
clearance.
Louis, is there's 2 feet above it. Yeah. So it's actually 20 feet.
Well, right, we're saying
They can
clearance.
put whatever they want on top of their lighting, whatever. So,
Yeah, I would put the, from the base flood elevation up 18 feet, and then I wouldn't go any more than 6 feet above for the
6
roof
feet.
line. Maximum 6 feet. Or it could be,
24.
it could be,
or would it be 2 feet?
well, you could, 2's fine, but I think we need to
Just
put a
put a-
maximum, because we don't want
Just put a
somebody to
maximum
put a
of 20
20-foot
feet.
tall.
Just put a maximum of 20 feet. And they can do what they want with the
Try
top
it.
to the,
Oh, from the top down, 20.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I can live with that.
Lewis? 20 feet.
Do I hear any other bidders?
Okay. Gas stations shall operate only between the hours of? Are we looking to do that? No. Take that out?
Yes.
All right.
Is that consent?
Huh?
Yeah, take it out.
Take it out.
Okay.
All gas stations must install appropriate safe ingress and egress, adequate signage and pedestrian walkways. That should be. Yeah, I didn't,
Well, it says subject to town planning and zoning department.
okay. Leave that in or take it out?
I think that falls under building code, so that should be struck from here. Would be my initial thought.
I think it's a good thing because it just gives you a little overlay and a little bit of discretionary power on behalf of the town, especially when they're on a corner or something. And gas stations are not your normal building, okay, because you have the pumps themselves that are extended out, et cetera, that type of thing. So that's why I put in there subject to the town's planning and zoning department.
I think we should
And-
leave it, because I don't
Well-
see a problem with them finding out twice what they can and can't do.
Well, would you include not only planning and zoning, but also the building permit?
Okay, yeah, sure.
Now, that was just a thought. Is everybody okay leaving it and just referring them back to the building and planning? Yeah, okay.
Sure.
All right, G, gas stations shall adhere to design standards. Is that just a suggestion?
I like it, but nowhere have we told people what they can and can't build. And I don't like some of the new homes and new stuff in town. Most people adhere to keeping it looking nice, but we have yet to tell anybody what they can and can't design build. We tried that once at a meeting a couple administrations ago where they wanted to see their drawing before the council would, well, we're not in that place.
Okay.
This is not the council's place to decide
Are you
design.
talking about commercial or residential?
Doesn't, well, this was commercial, but we are not, this council, we don't have anything written, and it should not be our decision to determine design of people's commercial or residential as long as it meets codes.
So you suggesting take that out?
All right, that's my suggestion.
Tim,
I suggested that come out at this point.
Kristen?
I think it's something we could readdress later. A lot of the complaint, like what Tim hears, is, you don't want things to look like the South Shore. Part of the reasons it looks that way is because there was never any rules put in place to say, hey, we want to have everything to have an aesthetic. It doesn't have to be excessive, but to have things looking nice and matching where you don't just end up with strip malls all along your streets, this is where you start. I don't think it has to be in the specific ordinance. I think it's something that we could consider later for an overall commercial ordinance. I've been places like near Austin and the Bee Cave area. It's beautiful. You drive down the street and all of the signs look nice and neat and all of the trees are done all the same. So it looks visually appealing instead of the concrete jungle. I grew up in Dedham Springs. Range Road is horrible to look at. It's the most unappealing thing I've ever seen in my life. And I grew up when it was just trees. I would like to prevent that. Obviously, we don't have as much frontage as they do, right? But that's the whole concept of keeping it small. I think eventually I would like to see some sort of aesthetic requirement for commercial buildings. I don't think it has to be tonight, though.
Well, let me say this, though. We're only talking about one gas station if it's created, okay? After that, it's a moot issue, okay, with regard to gas stations. So I threw it in there knowing that, and maybe, just maybe, that, hey, somebody's going to put up a gas station from the ground up, and you say, well, wait a minute, let's look at this a bit, because otherwise, you want to think about the future. There's not going to be any future because there's going to be two gas stations. That one would have been already built, and you have no power whatsoever at that point.
Well, we've had growth of gas stations. We're up to 3.
You up to 3? Yeah.
I'd remove that verbiage, to tell you the truth.
Okay. Louis?
I don't think there's any way to enforce it, so why have it in there? But right now, the only landscape regulations we have for the 2 districts that allow gas stations is that you have to have a tree for every 5 parking spots. And that, I agree with Kristen, seems like probably not enough.
That being said, we're removing it.
I think so.
Okay. All right, sounds like that's removed. H, is that necessary in this?
You wanna, I mean, if somebody, yes, absolutely.
Okay.
You gotta have some teeth in it.
You gotta have some teeth. Now, I have to make the referral to
what penalties in what section of the,
well, that's what I'm gonna have to look at, okay?
Okay, okay.
I'm gonna have to fill that in.
okay, and I is,
It's a common,
okay. So that's not really a problem.
no, that has nothing to do with the operation of the gas station itself.
Okay, so right now, we've got answers in everything but C, which we're taking out, E, which we're taking out, and G, which we're taking out. Is that correct? Okay, you got some work to move forward with.
Right.
All right. Next thing on the agenda is camping ordinance. The camping ordinance was presented at last month's meeting. Bruce reviewed it, and your thoughts? I mean,
Well, it's not bad, it's short, sweet, but the only thing I did do, I'm mentioning it, the title of the ordinance is, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Mandeville regulating camping activities. Well, if you look at the substance of the ordinance, it's not regulating, it's prohibiting them, okay? So, the only thing I would say, instead of putting regulating, okay, put prohibiting.
Yes.
Then why don't you, if this is ready to go, if everybody wants to move forward with this, he can prepare an ordinance for next month's meeting.
Right.
Quick question, so if the Cub Scouts decide to have a camp out in the park,
Yeah, you would have to come up with something like this. Okay, go ahead.
I mean, we just allow it as a council as,
The Cub Scouts are gonna go to a campground.
well, I know, I'm just,
Well,
I
you just
can't
allow
imagine,
it.
we don't
You
want.
permit it. You have them in advance come for.
Ask for a variance?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, I was gonna say variance.
Yeah, the only other thing that I think needs to be defined in here is that if somebody's, like on July 4th, we had people out there with the pop-up tents, that ought to be allowed,
The canopy, yeah,
the canopy.
yeah, I don't,
Yeah.
Bruce, is that included in this? I
Yeah,
mean,
that's not
canopies
an
are different,
overnight
okay,
stay
yeah.
or anything
No,
like
there
that.
is,
It says temporary shelters.
Oh, okay.
involving the placement or erection of temporary shelters such as tents. So, does not include the use of hammocks during the daytime. So, actually, you could change that to,
Guys, let's just permit it in special occasions. Let's leave it in, because I can tell you, there was a request for a business to set up a tent and have, what was it? It was, it's almost like a private picnic, that a business would set it up for you, have the tent, have the lounge chairs, and they were told no. So, when we have a special occasion like the 4th of July or anything that pertains to a town or community event, we give permission. I think this is good.
if you put in community events, other than community events during daytime.
Just rather than reword it, just allow it on individual requests.
You're right, because this is a matter of being able to enforce something. And if we don't do anything about the community events, 4th of July, then we really don't have to worry about it, we're just not enforcing it that much. Is that right?
If you have a law, you should enforce it, okay? So you say, we're not gonna enforce it at this moment, then they're gonna say, oh, well, this is spot enforcement
Well,
or something like that.
we can't take away the erection of temporary shelters then. Unless you put in, except during special events during the daytime.
I think it's good, Bruce, but I think we need to wordsmith it a little bit to where we can allow it on, like we said, 4th of July, community events and so forth.
Wood Boat Festival, I mean,
So you're gonna have trailers come in, all this kind of stuff, trailers, campers and stuff on those days, and they can park on, town property overnight?
No, not saying that at all.
Well, that's
That's why I'm saying we need to wordsmith it to where we leave in no campers, what have you. We don't want that on the riverfront. But somebody simply putting up a tent or a canopy to
During
sit
the day.
under for a certain amount of time during the day, I got no problem with during that July 4th celebration.
personally, I don't care if somebody puts up a small tent
We
to sit
shouldn't have
under on the
campers allowed on the
riverfront.
riverfront, period, anyway.
Okay, let me,
But just for the community events, or as Keith said, if somebody just wants to put up some shade at the park or at the riverfront or.
Okay. All right,
So I guess that was the only problem with it, right? Was
that's
just
the only
about-
thing I saw.
Okay.
Councilman Ogle, I just put in farmer's market because I didn't know if you wanted to do an update.
Just quickly, the mayor and I met, and Keith joined us as well. We believe that the town's existing liability policy will cover the farmer's market, and I'm continuing working on some specifics that the mayor gave me to work on.
Okay. And I just have one follow-up question. Did you do any completion or work on the advertisement, for the hometown hero?
Okay. Let's talk about that later. Yeah, I've got two different prices, one local company, one.
No, I'm talking about on the brochure.
No, not yet.
Okay.
I don't actually have a final price on the banners yet, and I need to talk to you about that.
Okay.
And if
brochure.
someone wants it, you'll contact us to, remember, I know I contacted you, told you I'd like one for my father-in-law.
Yeah.
And that-
The mayor wants us to have a professional-looking brochure similar to Huntington Beach's, and
Yeah.
that will be the start of the whole process.
Okay. Okay, moving to Parks and Recreation, Councilman, committee members, Councilman Haddix, Councilman Faison, anything?
I kind of updated you guys before the meeting, but I want everybody in the loop that Chris, my husband, is working on coding something to automate the process of the riverfront using the pedestals. I want to clarify and explain how this function works because I know it's been brought up several times, having a kiosk. The kiosk is a point of, it's a payment portal, right? To automate this, there's a program that's on computers here that talks to the pedestals, right? So we've got a payment portal, we've got the program itself that automates the pedestals, and then we've got the pedestals, right? What he is currently building right now is in between 1 and 2. It is going to make the payment process talk to the program here and automate that use of the pedestals on the riverfront. Regardless of if we get a kiosk or any type of payment portal at all whatsoever, it will need to intertwine with the coding that makes those things happen with that program, right? So we could get a kiosk tomorrow, we would still need someone to custom code something to talk to that program on the computers here. So, you know, his goal is to set it up with a payment processor online, just like we have right now, that will complete that process. If at some point we wanted to add a kiosk, we could, but it would need to be recoded to work with said kiosk.
Kiosk on the riverfront.
Right, it's just been brought up, and I wanted to clarify, because when he met with Kyle and Bianca at the riverfront, that was asked, well, couldn't we just get a kiosk and that would solve everything? No. So, because you still need the custom coding that talks from the payment acceptance to the program here at on the computers. So, it's not it's not the payment process that's the problem. It's the making the payment process trigger the program to do what it needs to do, to automate it. Does that make sense?
Which would be the best way to go.
Absolutely. I mean, it doesn't matter how we accept the payments. We need to get this automated. That's what's happening right now. He is doing this just out of the goodness of his heart, and if it works, great. If not, I will update you guys, but we should know within probably the next month. He's had good luck. He's been working with Schneider, which is the company that They own the software that does it. They own the smart panels, if I'm saying this correctly, the smart panels in the pedestals. So they've been more than accommodating. He's also spoken with the engineers that set up the Wi-Fi that's communicating from the riverfront to the town hall as well. So there's progress being made, but it's slow. It's not going to be super quick, and it wouldn't be super quick even if we were paying somebody. So,
Thank you.
any questions?
Nope.
Hey, has Joey reached back out to you yet?
I reached out to him, but I hadn't heard anything back from him, no. I would encourage y'all to reach out to you. Yeah.
What about the finish time for the park?
The what?
The completion time for everything in the park?
Don't really, the pipe for the commercial sales will put in Tuesday. The sales fitted after the pipe went up, and they're gonna be made. That's gonna be a 3-week process. I think it'll be on time. It'll be actually early, but there's no date that I have for you tonight.
So, but the benches and light bulbs, they still on order?
Yeah, the benches are in, the garbage cans are in, the light poles are in. All they're waiting for is the arm to hold the light. That's back ordered. But they don't see that as a problem.
And what's left with the tennis courts?
That's still got some challenges there. They still have to be refinished.
Oh, I thought they were already refinished. They're not.
They're not accepted.
Okay.
They're not accepted.
Oh, they haven't been accepted.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they got.
Oh, was there an issue with some bubbling or something? Was that what was going on?
With what?
Oh, no, never
No,
mind.
it was some cracking that came through that they, it wasn't accepted. Yeah. Next thing is public safety committee members, Councilman Dennis, Councilman Bounds. Anything?
I have nothing. I just ask everybody to keep the Bounds family in your prayers. Our sincerest condolences, Tim, on the loss of your dad. Mr. Bobby was a good man. So, but that's all. Thank you.
If nothing else to discuss, someone make a motion to adjourn
Motion.
by Councilman Dennis,
Second.
second by Councilwoman Faison. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you very much.